In today's episode of the Live Unrestricted podcast, we're answering a very common question that I get around traveling. And it is, how do I go on vacation and enjoy food without guilt, but also without losing control so that you can travel without anxiety that you're going to have to get back on track when you get back, so that you can enjoy your food without being constantly in your head and also feel good in your body. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. You guys, I am so excited about the topic for today's episode. So I really want to just dive into it. Before I do that, I want to welcome you back. Thank you for pressing play. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast. If you are a new listener, I'm so glad that you're here. You are so welcome and safe here. And if you're an OG listener, I love you. Thank you for coming back. Now, if you press play on this episode, what that tells me is that you are someone who values enjoying your holiday, enjoying your vacations. You want to be able to be present, to show up fully, to live fully while you are traveling, while you're on vacation, while you're with your partner or your kids or your family. You don't want to be consumed by stress about what you're going to eat, or if you're going to overeat, if you're going to lose control, or stress out about going on a diet when you get back from your vacation. You want it to just be like any other day, right? Like it's not, you get back on track when you get back, but you also want to be able to enjoy food without feeling like crap, right? Because when we're traveling, when we're on vacation, oftentimes we eat a little differently. We go out to eat more. We maybe enjoy cultural foods that we don't get to eat at home. So we want to be able to enjoy all of that and also feel good in our bodies, because it's no secret, it's not revolutionary that when you don't feel good in your body, when you feel bloated or when you've overeaten or you've eaten food that just isn't digesting well, you don't feel as good. Your energy isn't great. Maybe you're more moody and you're just not able to enjoy your vacation as much as you deserve to. And so this topic came at a really good time, because when I'm recording this, it's Wednesday and I am leaving for California. So when this gets released, I will be on a plane to California for a business/personal development retreat. So if you've been listening for a while, you know that I do these a couple of times a year. I practice what I preach. And so I always recommend that you get support, that you invest in yourself and you make yourself a priority. And I very much do that for myself. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into myself at this point on coaches and people who are going to make me better for you. And that is how I've learned so much of my coaching techniques and my ability to help people, is through investing in myself. And so I'm part of a coaching container, and we have these retreats a couple of times a year. And this one is in California, Orange County. So if you are from Orange County, send me a DM, give me any recommendations, because me and my girlfriend, we're going to be staying a couple of days after the retreat, because a lot gets brought up to the surface, right? It's like really, really deep personal development stuff. Like we are diving deep. We are uncovering our blocks. We are doing shadow and identity work. We are collapsing timelines. Like If I could even explain the shit that we go through, it's just like it's a lot of tears, it's a lot of releasing, it's beautiful and difficult and confronting, and healing is all of that, right? Like growing and becoming the best version of you requires a lot of shedding, a lot of letting go of beliefs and patterns and emotions that are no longer serving you. So the way I like to describe these retreats is like my brain is a snow globe that gets shaken up. So then the snow goes everywhere. And so me and my girlfriend, we stay for a couple of days to kind of let that snow settle. So as this episode gets released, I'll be flying in the plane, most likely, on my way to California. And in the past, when I was struggling with food and a lot of anxiety and a lot of need for control and not trusting myself, traveling was so stressful. And I would think about it weeks before. And I wouldn't feel excited about the fact that I was traveling. I would just feel stressed about the fact that my food was going to be different, my schedule was going to be different. I wouldn't be able to control everything. I would be going out to eat more. Maybe I would be in an environment where there'd be a lot of different food options. And like there was a lot of stress and anxiety. And I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and that is just a recurring theme, is that maybe you feel like you can eat really well intuitively and mindfully and intentionally when you're at home and you're in your own environment. But then when you go away and when you're out of your environment and out of your schedule, you don't really know how to handle yourself. And so what I want to walk you through is how I handle traveling as an intuitive eater. And I would love to do more of these episodes of like how I handle holidays as an intuitive eater, or how I handle going out to dinner as an intuitive eater. So if any of that is interesting to you, just send me a DM and let me know, and I would be more than happy to do that. But let's really walk you through how I handle traveling as an intuitive eater. So like basically a day or a week in the life. So let's start with flying, because flying, traveling, when you like are on these long distances, maybe you're in a car ride or you're in a long plane ride or you're in a long train or bus ride, already that in and of itself can kind of screw up your eating schedule. So I am leaving on Wednesday. I'm leaving today, technically, when this gets released. And my flight is at 7 a.m. And I don't usually eat breakfast before 7 a.m. I usually eat breakfast at about 7:45, 8 o'clock after doing some morning movement. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to wait to eat breakfast once I'm on the plane, because I'm going to be waking up much earlier than that. I'm probably going to be waking up around 4:45, 5 a.m. And I want to make sure that because I'm going to be up earlier, I'm going to be awake for much longer, and I've got a big travel day ahead. And the last thing I want to do is be starving during my entire travel day. Like, you and I both know how much it sucks when you are on a long plane ride or you're on a long bus ride or on a long car ride and you are just thinking about food because you're so starving. So I always make sure that I start my day off with a good filling big breakfast. So I'm not going to eat breakfast before leaving the house, because I'm literally just going to wake up, put some clothes on, and take a car to the airport. I don't want to eat breakfast right when I wake up at 4:45. Like I'm not hungry. But when I get to the airport and I go through customs and I go through security, at that point, I'm going to have been awake for like an hour. And so I'm going to start to feel hungry. So then I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to have breakfast before I board the plane. And either I like to bring some stuff with me. So sometimes I'll bring like an apple or a peanut butter sandwich, a banana. I'm not a big shakes person, so I'm not going to bring a shake with me. Or I'll just get something at the airport. So it might be a breakfast sandwich, a bagel sandwich, but it's always going to be something that's going to have carbs, that's going to have protein, that's going to have some fat, that's going to be filling, like a big breakfast. We're not here saving calories. This is not what this is about. We are making sure that we are getting some substance into our bodies to sustain us for a big day of travel. And I'll usually like to have some fruit, to have some fiber, because when I'm traveling, it's just harder to come around fruits and vegetables and fiber. So I like to bring a piece of fruit with me. Again, not because I have to, not because my day is a bad day if I don't eat my fruits or veggies. I genuinely feel better and I love starting the day fresh with that. So then, depending on how long the flight is, one thing that I want to make really, really clear, and I want to normalize, is that oftentimes if you notice that you are eating more on a travel day, maybe you even need to eat one full meal more than you typically do. Like maybe you need to eat 2 lunches or 2 dinners, especially if there's a time difference. That's normal. I know that especially if you're just starting your healing journey, then you might be very like rigid in your meals. Like I always just eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack. And it always has to be at this time, and this time. And the more you heal, the more loosey-goosey you become with that. And what I mean by that is you become more flexible. When I'm at home, sure, I typically eat in a similar schedule and structure because my life is just kind of like that. It's just the same. I have a schedule every day. But if I'm traveling, I typically am just more hungry. And I can't exactly tell you why. It might be because I'm up and awake for longer hours. So if you're waking up earlier than you typically do, traveling can also be stressful. It can require a lot of mental and even some physical energy, especially if you're traveling with kids. So I just want to normalize that you might need a whole extra meal or like a whole extra snack. You might need more food while you're traveling, and that's okay. What I used to do is I would feel hungrier and I wouldn't allow myself to eat more. I wouldn't give myself that extra snack. I wouldn't give myself that extra meal because I would tell myself that if I had that extra snack or that extra meal, I would gain weight. And I know that for some people that might sound crazy or delusional, like you thought that you were going to gain weight from one meal. But those of you who understand like that the things in our mind and the fears that we have don't always make logical sense. And so now I obviously know that one day of eating more than usual will not lead to weight gain. 1 week of eating more than usual, you might feel a little bit more bloated at the end of it, but you're just going to get back right into it when you get back home. So I used to not allow myself to eat more, even if my body was hungry. But now my number one priority is treating my body with love and with respect. And if my body is telling me, hey, I need more fuel, I know that I can trust it because I know the difference between actually being physically hungry and needing more fuel and just being emotionally hungry. And even if you are emotionally hungry, maybe you're someone who flights and planes really stress you out And maybe like bringing your favorite candy is something that is going to calm you down, is something that is going to give you something to look forward to. Please don't demonize yourself for that. If it's going to get you through the flight, if it's going to give you something to look forward to, do it. Again, we have to zoom out and stop thinking of the one meal, the one snack, the one day of eating being the end all be all. So one other thing that I really like to do as well is I like to bring myself something that I'm going to be excited to eat on the plane, because plane rides can be long and they can be boring. And if I have all of these like unexciting foods with me, what's going to end up happening is that I'm not going to feel really satisfied. Like, look, I like nuts well enough. I know that they're good for me. I like them well enough. But if all I have on my flight is like a bag of almonds and an apple, that's going to be like super unexciting for me. I'll eat them and they'll fill me up, but it's not going to be very satisfying. So I'll bring something that I'm going to be excited to eat. Maybe I'll bring myself a special protein bar that I really don't buy often. That's going to be exciting, something to look forward to. Or maybe I'll bring myself like some crackers that I really like, or some chips that I really like. But I really like to prioritize food that is going to sustain me. So sure, I can bring some candy and I can bring some chips if I want to, but that's not going to be the only thing that I bring. Because if that's all I have, I'm going to need to eat a very large quantity on the plane or on traveling on the road trip, you could also say, in order to feel full, in order to feel satisfied. And then I'm going to feel like crap. And I don't want to travel feeling like crap. You don't want to travel feeling like crap, right? You want to feel good. You want to feel energized. So we want to make sure that we set ourselves up to feel good, to feel energized. We set ourselves up for success. So one more thing I want to say about the travel day is that I don't skip meals. I was trying to think of like a good way to say it. I don't skip meals. And what I mean by that is like, I'm not just going to snack throughout the day. So let's say that I eat breakfast at 6 a.m. before getting on the plane. And then at 10 a.m., I'm hungry. Like I'm hungry for a meal. I'm not just going to snack, because at that point, I ate breakfast at 6 a.m. It's 4 hours between that time. In that 4 hours, I know my body. I know that I don't just need a snack. I know that I need a meal. And so I'm going to plan ahead of time. I'm going to plan ahead of time. If I know that I'm going to be on a plane, I'm going to make sure that I will have a lunch for that plane ride. And if it's a very, very long plane ride, like let's say I'm going to Europe, it's a really long plane ride. Well, that's a little different actually, because usually on those plane rides, there's meals included. I'm thinking more of like when there's no meals included. I'm going to make sure that I have a lunch prepared for me. And same if we're talking like road trips or bus ride or train ride. How can we make sure that we prioritize meals instead of just snacking throughout the day? Because you're going to notice that just grazing throughout the day without having that like really substantive meal that gives you the nutrients that make you feel good, that's going to have the proteins and the carbs and the fat, you're not going to feel great. And you're just going to feel like, this is what you're going to feel like. You're going to feel like a bottomless void in your stomach. And it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's just, if I were to graze throughout the day on like snacky food, I would feel the same way too. So we're still just at the travel day, okay? But some things to keep in mind is planning ahead, making sure that we prioritize meals, allowing yourself to eat more if your body is asking for more, especially if there's a time difference, like you might need to eat 2 dinners because, for example, when I get to California, I gain 3 hours. So instead of having a 24-hour day, I have a 27-hour day. That's a lot of hours added to my day. So I'm probably going to need to eat more. So normalizing that. Next thing is knowing yourself and what feels good for you. When I'm traveling, I personally don't really care about having this like really decadent or special breakfast. Some people live and die by brunch. They love breakfast. They love going to get their pancakes and their waffles, and more power to you if you love that and if that makes you feel good. It's just personally, like I would rather save my meals. I do not mean save my meals in terms of calories. I mean save my meals in terms of like going out and getting to try new things for lunch and dinner. That's just the way that I operate. I would prefer to start my day off with a breakfast that's going to set me up to have a good day, in terms of energy, in terms of mental clarity, in terms of focus, especially when I'm traveling and I'm doing these retreats and conferences. I really need my brain. I really need my brain power. And so I know my body. I know that I need to prioritize protein for breakfast. So if there's like a breakfast table, a breakfast buffet, I'm going to make sure that I'm either getting the sausages or the bacon, the eggs, the Greek yogurt. Like there's no skipping protein for me, because if I don't have protein in my breakfast, I'm just going to be hungry in an hour. And if I don't start off my day with a filling breakfast, I just know that I'm going to be hungrier than usual all throughout the day. And I'm going to be like making up for it later. So I prioritize protein, and notice how I'm not avoiding the bacon. I'm not avoiding the sausages. And if that's the only options for protein, I will happily have that. And that's a thing that's really important about having that healthy relationship with food, is now you're flexible. I don't have to bring my own stuff for breakfast. I don't have to feel like I can't eat anything at the buffet table because it's quote unquote bad or unhealthy. And obviously, if you have like a food intolerance or if you have special sensitivities, then that's a different story. I don't. So I don't need to avoid that. And I also know that like I preferably would not eat sausages and bacon for breakfast every morning. Is a little greasy for me. And honestly, greasy food does not sit well in my stomach. And notice that the language there. I'm not saying greasy food is unhealthy for me. I'm not saying greasy food is a bad food. I'm saying it doesn't sit well in my stomach and it doesn't feel great for me always. And I know that I want to feel good. I know that feeling good in my body is a priority, is really important to me. But if that's all there is, I'm going to have it. It's fine. Another thing too is I plan snacks. I always when I'm traveling will bring a bag of protein bars with me, because going back to knowing yourself, I know myself. I know the way that my body works. I know what feels good. I know how often I need to eat. And I know that I need to snack in the afternoon between lunch and dinner. And so I bring protein bars with me because it's so easy. It's so easy to travel with. It is really filling. There's protein in it. I'll sometimes bring other snacks with me. Maybe I'll bring nuts. I'll bring things that are high calorie, high protein, high fat, that are going to fill me up. Again, this isn't about how can I eat as little as possible, because a hungry person is a hangry person, is a moody person. And I don't want to be moody. I don't want to be thinking about food all the time. And this takes us into another aspect of this, which is asking yourself, how do you want to show up on your trip? How do you want to show up on your vacation with the people that are around you? And for me, I want to be fully present. Like if there's one word that I could use, is I want to be fully present. When people talk to me, I want them to feel seen and heard and like I'm really with them. And like we all have that experience, right? When we're talking to someone and you're like, oh, they're not really there. Like they're listening to me, but they're not there. Like they're elsewhere. And that really doesn't feel good. And I've been in the receiving end of that. And I don't want people to experience that with me. And I often get complimented on people saying, I feel so much like you are listening and you're hearing me and you're seeing me. And the only way that I can do that is if I am fully fed. I'm going to say that again. The only way that we can be fully present and show up for the people around us at the best of our abilities is to be fed. We all had that experience where we go to dinner and we starved ourselves before going to dinner because we were saving up our calories. And then we order our food and the food is taking longer than it takes. And you're trying to hold a conversation with the people that you're out to dinner with, but you can't stop staring at every waiter that walks past you because you're like, is that my meal? Is this my meal? And you are so impatient because now your body and your mind is like, we need food, we need fuel. So we're going to concentrate all of our energy on that. And that's why you're thinking about food and you're not able to fully concentrate on the people who are right in front of you. So before even leaving for your trip, ask yourself, what is the most important thing for me to experience? What do I want to remember? Because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, when you look back on that trip, you're going to remember the memories that you made. You're going to remember getting to enjoy that gelato while you were in Italy. You're going to want to remember taking that picture or going for that swim or getting to enjoy I'm thinking of my trip to New Orleans right now, where I got to enjoy so many of the cultural foods. And I remember when I was in New Orleans, I didn't eat a lot of vegetables. And I remember just telling myself, it's okay, because this is just 1 week. And you're not going to be 80 years old looking back on this trip and being like, I'm so glad that I didn't have the po' boy because instead I had a salad because I was trying to be good. No. So you want to get really clear on what's important for you. And then, of course, there might be some times where you don't want to be eating out to dinner and eating the cultural food 100% of the time because maybe that wouldn't feel great for your body. So you get to be really intentional. There might be a day where you go out to dinner and you're like, you know what? I've had like some pretty heavy food today. So tonight I'm going to have something a little bit lighter. I'm feeling like I want some vegetables. I'm feeling like it's going to make my body feel good, because we also want to think about this in the long term. If you're away for like 2 or 3 weeks and you're starting to feel like, okay, my body hasn't really gotten any fiber, hasn't really gotten any protein, or hasn't gone fruits and vegetables, and it's starting not to feel good, then how can we start incorporating that? Not from a place of weight loss or trying to be good, but from a place of, I want to feel good. My body hasn't been feeling its best. And so how can I make these small changes to nourish my body so that I can feel better and so that I can enjoy my trip more? And finally, my last and probably one of my most powerful tips and strategies for navigating trips and making it feel exactly how you wanted it to go, making it feel like a huge success. And this is something that I walk my clients inside of Food Freedom Academy through in a very like step-by-step way, but I'm going to give you an overview right now. And it's called Start with the End in Mind. And so you want to imagine and like kind of fast forward to you've gotten back from this trip. Okay, so let's say you're getting back on August 26th. Well, then you would teleport yourself mentally to August 26th, and then you would look back and you would ask yourself, if on August 26th I look back, what would have made this trip a huge success? What you're doing there is that you are changing your level of consciousness. You have a level of consciousness now on this day from this perspective. But then when you're taking yourself to August 26th with a successful trip behind you, that person has different information. She has experienced what it feels like to have a successful trip and how you acted and how you thought and what you focused on and how you navigated food. And so doing that, it's changing the perspective, giving you new information. So imagine that you're in New York City and you're in like straight in the middle of a random street in New York City. All you can see if you look around you is like the four corners of the streets around you and the big buildings. Like you can't see much beyond the buildings around you. So if you want to see something different, if you want to see more, you have to change your vantage point. So you have to go on the rooftop of one of these tall buildings. And once you get to that rooftop, well, now you can see very differently. You're going to be able to see a much brighter and much wider view of New York City. You might be able to see Central Park. You might be able to see all these different boroughs. You'll see all these different buildings. You'll see so much more because you will have new information from that new vantage point. So that's what I mean when I say start with the end in mind. And of course, like we really get in the nitty gritty and specific and how to navigate trips in a way that feels good for you inside of the academy on a much deeper level. But this is such a good place to start. So I know that we're coming to the end of summer. Maybe you've traveled a lot this summer. Maybe you've got some end of summer travel waiting for you. And I hope that this gave you some ways that you can navigate this and you can still enjoy food without falling into either the all or nothing mindset of, well, now I'm on vacation, so screw everything, screw feeling good, screw listening to my body. Let me just eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and then probably feel like crap at the end of it, which is not the most loving thing to do for yourself. Or the other side of the spectrum, which is, I'm going to try to be super rigid and I'm not going to allow myself to really enjoy new foods or be fully present. And that is definitely not how we want to experience our trips. And I definitely have some trips in my past where I did behave in that way. And I have a lot of regret about that. And obviously, look, there's no real regret because everything leads to the next thing. And it led me to where I am now so that I can help you and so that I can understand that this can be challenging, especially if you are at the beginning stages of your healing journey. So thank you so much for listening. Remind yourself that it's okay to eat more if you feel hungrier while you're traveling. It's okay to change your routine a little bit more. It's okay to eat foods that you're not used to eating, and maybe you're going to eat differently, you're going to move differently, and reminding yourself to zoom out 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of eating, 1 month of eating, and moving differently. It won't impact you long term. you're going to be able to come back, and maybe it's going to be a few days or a week of just like getting back in the structure and the routine of it all. And then you're going to have forgotten it by next year. So reminding yourself to zoom out and that you don't have to make it such a big deal. I find that to be really helpful to release that pressure. It's not that big of a deal. You don't need to make it that big of a deal. And the more of a big deal you make it in your mind, the more pressure and anxiety and lack of presence you're going to feel. So if you're traveling, send me a DM on Instagram and let me know that you listened to this episode. Let me know where you're going, please. I want to live vicariously through you. So at Sabrina Magnan Health, if you want to work with me inside of my coaching container, inside of Food Freedom Academy, you can find all of the details in the show notes to join. And one more thing, if you haven't listened to my secret podcast training series, you can also find the link to that in the show notes. It's completely free. 10 bingeable episodes where I walk you through how to stop feeling obsessed and out of control with food. All right. That's it for me. I love you so much. And I will talk to you when I'm back from California, and I will have so much to share about breakthroughs and lessons and things that I know will be of so much value to you. All right. I love you. Hey, real quick before you go, if you're loving this podcast and you're thinking, Sabrina, I want more. I want to go deeper. I want a step-by-step process for healing my relationship with food. I've got a free workshop that literally walks you through it. It's a full breakdown of the exact method that I use to help my clients stop binging, heal emotional eating, and finally feel at peace with food in their bodies. It's totally free. So if you're ready to stop feeling obsessed and out of control with food, head to sabrinamagnan.com/training or find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.